Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The spaceship hummed softly through the boundless expanse of the universe, soaring towards the distant planet of Althera. In the cockpit, Lucas, a seasoned human explorer, characterized by his determination and curiosity, gazed intently through the cockpit window. His eyes widened as he caught a glimpse of Althera, a jewel of turquoise and emerald twinkling against the backdrop of countless stars. The planet was laden with forests of flora shimmering a bioluminescent glow, painting the landscape with otherworldly hues that seemed to dance in the atmosphere. As the ship descended toward the royal city of Velthera, Lucas felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This mission was unlike any other he had embarked upon. It was fraught with the tension of interspecies diplomacy and the uncertainty of new encounters with an alien civilization. He was privileged, yet nothing could quite prepare him for the strangeness that awaited on this day. The towering spires of Velthera came into view, crafted from an iridescent material that refracted the light of the twin suns. Lucas stepped off his ship, his boots landing on soft ground, and he took a moment to acclimate to the perfume of the air, sweet and floral, yet tinged with a hint of something alien and unrecognizable. Lucas adjusted his collar, straightening himself. Years of training encouraged him to approach the unknown with an open mind but a cautious heart. He had seen fascinating things across the galaxies, yet the existence of intelligent life forms so vastly different from humanity hung over him like a shroud of wonder and trepidation. How would they perceive him? The representative of Earth was mere flesh and blood, while they were extraordinary beings mined from the realm of myth. As he entered the Grand Palace, Lucas was struck by the opulence that surrounded him. The alien decor intertwined both the vibrant foliage from the planet and other unknown materials, creating an ambience that was resplendent yet with an unnerving alien touch. A group of curious alien nobles observed him, their skin adorned with reflective scales that glimmered in different colors as they moved. "Nervous, Earthling," a voice chimed from behind. Lucas turned to face a tall, slender alien with luminescent skin, an impish grin plastered across their face. "Just taking it all in," Lucas replied. He fought to project confidence, knowing that first impressions could shape the course of his diplomatic mission. The festivities began with a grand banquet hosted in honor of various species, each representative bringing their own culture and cuisine. Lucas found himself mingling, exchanging pleasantries while subtly studying the customs of this exotic world. The murmur of curious sidelong glances intensified his awareness of being an outsider. Yet he was resolved. This mission was essential for forming a bridge between Earth and Althera. As the banquet unfolded, Lucas felt the intricate dance of flavors and emotions swirl around him. Bold, colorful dishes crafted from Althera's unique flora littered the long tables, each more surreal than the last. Yet, despite the indulgence, anxiety gnawed at the pit of his stomach. He was surrounded by dazzling beings with iridescent skin and mesmerizing features, some with elongated limbs and others sprouting bioluminescent appendages. The laughter of the aliens echoed in the grand hall, a tapestry woven from multiple languages that sounded almost musical. Lucas raised a glass filled with a luminescent liquid that sparkled like the stars outside. He had no idea what it was, but in this moment, he found solace in the camaraderie of the banquet. "Lucas," a melodic voice called out, breaking through the chaotic symphony of sounds. The room quieted, and all eyes turned toward a figure entering from the shadows. The Queen Alara glided into the spotlight, radiating a shimmering aura that seemed to encapsulate the very essence of Althera. Her gown flowed around her in waves of color, like the night sky infused with starlight, accentuating her tall and graceful figure. Striking features crowned her visage: high cheekbones, luminous blue eyes that held the depth of galaxies, and delicate antennae that framed her face gracefully. However, it was her presence that surprised Lucas more than anything. There was a power in her demeanor, a regal authority that commanded respect and awe. His heart quickened, caught in her gaze. He felt the weight of many judgments rest upon him. Ilara approached, her expression inscrutable. "Human ambassador, are you not?" she spoke. her words dripping with a melodic cadence that sent shivers down Lucas's spine. "Yes, Your Majesty," he managed, standing straighter under her penetrating stare. "You have come to share your world with us. Yet we know little of the human heart." There was a challenge in her tone, one that hinted at their cultural divide. With a flick of her wrist, she gestured for him to join her at the head of the table. All around them, conversations resumed, cloaked in the tension that had formed within Lucas. As the banquet progressed, Lucas and Alara engaged in spirited conversation interspersed with cultural insights and playful jabs at their differences. Despite their contrasting worlds, Lucas began to feel a warmth blooming between them, an unspoken understanding that transcended the boundaries of their species. "So you admit that your kind indulge in chaos and travel through the void simply for the thrill of discovery?" Alara teased, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Lucas chuckled. "And your people? All these traditions and rituals seemingly in place for mere formality. I suspect you relish in your elaborate ceremonies." Alara's smile faltered slightly, a flicker of vulnerability hidden beneath her regal facade. Tradition can be a shackle as much as it is a foundation. Lucas leaned in, sensing an authenticity in her vulnerability. "What binds you so tightly to these traditions? Is it fear of what lies beyond them?" In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. Tension clung in the air like a fog. Alara remained silent, her eyes reflecting a depth of emotions that tangled with the weight of her crown. It was clear that there was much more to the queen than her regal title indicated. "Perhaps it is time to shatter some of those shackles," Lucas offered, his heart racing with both trepidation and intrigue. The atmosphere sparked with curiosity as their banter continued, punctuated by laughter and glances that lingered a moment too long. The promise of forging an alliance felt possible, a flicker of hope in an uncertain future. However, the joy of their interaction was abruptly cut short by a cold voice from the shadows of the banquet hall. "What folly is this, Alara?" A figure emerged, a hard-faced noble with dark scales and a sharp glare, his presence daunting as he addressed the queen. "You consort with the human, defying our traditions. Have you forgotten your place as ruler of Althra?" His words were icy, causing the atmosphere to shift into a tense silence. Lucas felt the breath hitch in his throat. The confrontation exposed the underlying fragility of Alara's position. She was trapped between her duty to Althra and the personal connection she felt with him. The tension in the banquet hall hung heavily, following the noble's scathing remarks. Lucas watched as Alara straightened her back, determination flickering in her eyes. She opened her mouth to respond, but the words caught in her throat, diplomacy taking a backseat to the emotions that swirled between them. "Enough," Alara declared, her voice ringing with authority that demanded attention. "The bonds we forge are what matter most, not the antiquated traditions that bind us to the past." The noble recoiled at her defiance, and murmurs erupted from the guests. It was a forward step for the queen, one that Lucas admired. However, the danger of her position remained starkly present. Once the chaos quieted, Alara turned her gaze back to Lucas. "We have a tradition, a ceremony that symbolizes the union between different souls, the Bath of Unity. It is an invitation for deeper connection and understanding. Will you join me?" Lucas's heart raced at the thought. The Bath of Unity. It was a rite he had heard whispers of before, a ritual rumored to bind the energies of those who shared in it. It was not merely a ceremony, but a declaration between two beings, a melding of their essences. "Yes, I would be honored," he replied, his voice steady despite the tumult of emotions brewing within him. The moon hung low in the indigo sky as Alara led Lucas through winding paths illuminated by soft, bioluminescent flora. The air was thick with the fragrance of nectar, and it was almost ethereal in that serene moment. As they moved deeper into the lush vegetation, Lucas felt both anticipation and trepidation linger in the air. At last, they reached the oasis of Milona, a serene pool surrounded by hanging vines and iridescent blooms, glowing softly in the moonlight. The water shimmered like liquid silk. Beyond captivating, it beckoned them closer. "This is where I was born," Alara said softly, her voice almost reverent. It is sacred, filled with energies that connect us to our true selves and to one another. Lucas dipped his fingers into the milky liquid, a warmth enveloping him as he watched the way it clung to his skin like a lover's embrace. "It's beautiful," he murmured, mesmerized. Ilara stepped closer to the edge of the pool, removing her gown with a graceful aura. The fabric slipped away, revealing her delicate and flawless form to the soft moonlight. Lucas felt his breath hitch, struck by her beauty and vulnerability. "Join me, Lucas," Ilara urged, a subtle invitation laced with an edge of warmth and urgency. With an unsteady heartbeat, he undid the clasps of his attire, feeling exposed but unafraid in her presence. As he stepped into the pool, the sensation enveloped him, the warmth washing away any doubts he had carried. As they submerged into the milky oasis, warmth filled the space between them. The tendrils of water curled around their bodies, inviting closeness. They positioned themselves facing each other, pulses racing as they spoke quietly, discussing their worlds, their dreams, and fears. "What do you seek on your journeys, human?" Ilara asked, her eyes locked onto his, reflecting a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "I seek understanding and connection," Lucas confessed. "I want to know what lies beyond the familiar. Perhaps even," he hesitated, gathering courage, "find a place where I truly belong." Ilara's gaze softened as she reached out, her fingers delicately tracing the contours of his jaw, a touch electric and grounding. Belonging can feel like a mirage, always just out of reach, but perhaps through mutual trust, we can create our own sanctuary. Their eyes held for a fleeting moment before the tension transformed. They shared everything they were, a culmination of experiences, cultures, hopes, and dreams manifesting in that ethereal oasis. The conversation gave way to intimacy, the atmosphere thickening with a palpable energy, an understanding that transcended mere words. The shimmering liquid enveloped them, and as Ilara leaned closer, pulsating warmth filled the space between their bodies. Slowly, sweetly, her lips brushed against his. The kiss ignited like the stars captured between their worlds, a fusion of fire and luminescence that sparked a deep, resonating response. As Lucas pulled her closer, sensations overwhelmed him. Every gentle touch, every whispered breath magnifying their connection. The differences between their species faded, entwining into a beautiful dance of discovery, body and soul uniting beneath the twinkling heavens above. In that instant, everything blurred into the background. The struggles of diplomacy, the fears of the unknown melted away, leaving only the two of them in perfect harmony. The kiss lingered in the air, alive and electric, brewing a storm of emotions within them both. As they slowly parted, both Lucas and Ilara took a breath, the shared warmth from the oasis cocooning them in a surreal embrace. "Now we understand each other a little more," Ilara murmured, her voice barely a whisper, echoing the sentiment of the moment. Lucas gazed into her eyes, seeing the spectrum of emotions reflected there. "I've traveled far and wide, but I've never truly connected with anyone the way I have with you," he confessed, his heart beating with sincerity. "You have this way of seeing beyond the flesh, into the heart of things." Ilara smiled, her antennae flickering with radiant light. "My people value the connections we make, but even in this, the expectations can weigh heavily. Sometimes I wish I could shed the crown and explore the freedom that life beyond tradition brings." "Then let's do that," Lucas exclaimed, inspiration flooding through him. "Let's break those chains, carve out our own path." He reached for her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers, an act steeped in promise. "There is a risk in what we seek. A true union will shatter more than just our barriers," Ilara said, a tinge of uncertainty darkening her tone. Lucas squeezed her hand. "I'm willing to face the uncertainty. It's better to embrace the unknown together than to fear it alone. Tell me, what burdens you as the queen?" Ilara retreated momentarily, her gaze shifting to the surface of the oasis. "As queen, every moment is dictated by duty, by expectation. I bear the weight of my people's traditions, their fears, and their beliefs. I do my best to manage the needs of our kingdom, and yet, She paused, vulnerability flickering in her eyes. I longed for my own desires, my own choices. Lucas started to respond, but suddenly hesitated, a realization striking him. Your heart longs for freedom, much like mine. I have never truly fit the mold of human expectations either. I've spent my life trying to carve out a space where my spirit can thrive. Ilara's gaze softened further, and she leaned closer, resting her forehead against his. Then let's forge that path together, defying tradition, at least for today. The connection between them deepened, more than mere words could convey. The warmth of the water enclosed them, but it was the heat rippling beneath that drew them closer again. As if responding to their unspoken desires, the bath became an extension of their connection, an embrace that promised exploration and surrender. Their lips met again in a kiss that was both urgent and tender, a manifestation of their yearning. Ilara's hands glided over Lucas's back, eliciting sensations that surged through him like waves crashing upon a shore. In the sacred water, they explored each other, the sensation igniting a fire that coursed through their veins. Every touch became a language, an unspoken promise that transcended their differences. The walls between them dissolved. They were simply two souls learning the contours of shared pleasure. Ilara let out a soft melodic sound, and Lucas leaned into her warmth, surrendering to the emotions flooding through him. He traced the curves of her body, marveling at the soft luminescence of her skin, the delicate patterns reminiscent of constellations arranged across her form. "Does this make us one?" he whispered breathlessly, pulling back momentarily to meet her gaze. "Only if we allow it to," Ilara replied, her essence radiant, a reflection of the cosmos itself. Each moment pressed upon them like a vow to cherish their union, to explore each other's depths not just physically but emotionally. As they surrendered to the sensations that enveloped them, the magic of the oasis seemed to hum in approval, the luminous flora swaying gently as if echoing the affirmation of their union. As dawn approached, light began to filter through the shimmering trees, illuminating their embrace with a halo of golden warmth. They lay entwined, the intimacy of the night woven into the fabric of their beings. A sense of calm settled over Lucas, yet an urgency tugged at the corners of his mind. "What happens now, Ilara? What about the pressure you face from your court? They'll see us together and wonder if you've compromised your sovereignty." She frowned slightly, but bobbed her head. "I know the risks. Yet, a bond like this can transcend politics. If my people can see the depth of our connection, perhaps they too can learn from it." She sighed, determination hardening her features. "But it will require courage to fight against my own court, and warriors willing to protect our choice." Turning serious, Lucas nodded. "We have to build an understanding. If love is the bridge, we can educate them about our bond, show them that we are stronger together." Ilara smiled, the warmth returning to her expression. "Together? Yes, I believe we can actually make a difference in our worlds." With renewed purpose, they pulled each other up from the water, finding confidence in their newfound union. The weight of the world still loomed, but now they had each other, a shared strength that could withstand any storm. As the first rays of dawn broke through the foliage, Lucas and Ilara emerged from the oasis, their bodies shimmering with droplets of milk-like water. The once starlit night had given way to a vibrant day, yet it felt as if the world had transformed around them. Their bond had deepened, marked not just by shared experiences, but also by a sense of commitment that felt as profound as a mating ritual. Despite the beauty of the morning, Lucas felt a sense of trepidation. Their union, which had felt exhilarating and liberating, now bore weight under the reality of Ilara's role as queen and the ramifications their bond could have on both of their worlds. "Do you feel any different?" Lucas asked, brushing his fingers along Ilara's arm, enjoying the warmth of her skin. "I do," she replied softly, her gaze steady. "There's a sense of completeness. You are more than a friend. You have become my mate." Ilara's voice held an undeniable weight, each word an assertive acknowledgement of their shared intimacy, symbolic of their commitment and aspirational union. Lucas's heart swelled at her admission. "Mate, it sounds powerful, binding us at a level deeper than mere flesh." He instinctively pulled her closer, feeling an overwhelming desire to protect and cherish what they had forged together. But with this bond comes great responsibility, Ilara continued, her expression shifting to one of concern. Mating with you, sharing my essence in this way, has woven our fates together, raising questions about our peoples and what it means for leadership among my kind. As they returned to the palace, the air buzzed with an energy thick and laden with unspoken tension. The noble who had confronted Ilara at the banquet awaited them, flanked by a group of advisors, their expressions grim and unwavering. "Your Majesty," the noble began, his voice edged with disdain, "I trust the evening's revelations cleared your mind. This alliance with the human is a grotesque mockery of our customs. You've made yourself vulnerable." Lucas stepped forward, resisting the urge to interject, allowing Ilara to confront the challenge herself. He watched intently as she held her head high. "Vulnerable or free?" Ilara challenged, her composure unwavering. "Lucas has shown me a realm beyond our traditions, a chance to create a new future where bonds are defined not by lineage, but by heart." The noble scoffed, crossing his arms defensively. "You speak of foolishness, Ilara. You risk our unity for an outsider. Are you prepared to face the ramifications of this mating? Our ancestors built walls to protect our integrity. We cannot learn unless we accept the lessons that life offers." Ilara shot back, her voice rising with passion. "Our worlds can entwine, and through that intertwining, we can grow stronger. You must see that." But Lucas could sense the skepticism in the eyes of those gathered. Those around them were not easily swayed. Their ancient traditions ran deep, and Ilara's bold claim of unity, through her bond with him, only fueled whispers of dissent. After the advisors dispersed, Lucas turned to Ilara, a frown etching his brow. "What will happen if they refuse to accept us? If they fight against our mating?" His heart raced, anticipating the worst outcomes. "We must show them," Ilara replied resolutely, determination gleaming in her blue eyes. "I will open discourse, offer demonstrations of our bond. If I can convey the strength of our connection, they may begin to see the potential of what we can create together." Lucas nodded, appreciating her tenacity. "Then let's initiate that dialogue. But we cannot approach this half-heartedly. We must gather allies among your people who can understand." "Agreed," Ilara replied, taking his hand firmly. "Together, we can choose to give our relationship a voice that echoes across our worlds." As days turned into weeks, Lucas observed the growing tension surrounding them. Their connection was a beacon of hope, yet the court remained divided. Ilara organized discussions and gatherings, urging her people to confront their fears and prejudices towards humans. It was a challenging path, riddled with obstacles, yet it felt invigorating. Both Lucas and Ilara attended meetings with various factions, finding a few allies who resonated with their vision of unity. They faced down the naysayers together, presenting testimonials of their bond, unveiling the beauty of their mating through intimate expressions of love and shared laughter. In one pivotal meeting, Lucas shared stories of Earth, painting vivid pictures of humanity's own struggles for acceptance, moments where love triumphed over prejudice, and hearts united across vast chasms of difference. Slowly, an understanding crept into the minds of the court. A few began to see the benefits of a union not just mired in ancient tradition, but buoyed by the richness of cross-cultural experiences, and it sparked the glimmers of a change within Velthera. One evening, as they walked through the palace gardens, Lucas turned to Ilara. "You know, this feels more than just an alliance. Our mating, this shared intimacy, it's changing both of us, shaping our destinies." "Yes, it is," Ilara mused, her expression softening into a smile. "Maybe it's time the legends of our worlds reflected real connection, not just conquest." In that shared space, they found strength intertwined with vulnerability, a union that had the power to reshape not only their lives, but the lives of countless others who had yet to witness the beauty of love without boundaries. The days of advocacy had woven a tapestry of hope across Velthera. Lucas and Ilara stood united at the forefront of a conference, flanked by allies who had gradually recognized the strength of their bond. As they addressed the assembly, Tension rippled through the crowd. Today, we gather to rewrite the expectations of our kingdoms, Elara began, her gaze sweeping across the diverse assembly. Lucas and I represent more than a mere alliance. We embody evolution, a symbiosis of our cultures that can thrive together. Together, Lucas echoed, feeling the stir of anticipation in the air. This bond symbolizes our essence, our shared dreams, and the power of unity. It cannot be contained by borders or traditions. The murmurs that had once echoed with dissent faded as understanding slowly took root. Allies stepped forward, recounting how love, like a river, bridged the gaps between their worlds, turning fears into connections. But just as hope began to blossom, the noble who had once challenged Elara stepped forward, steely and resolute. Your Majesty, while this bond is commendable, it cannot overshadow our foundational laws. Traditions must be respected. Lucas felt apprehension knot in his stomach. He glanced at Elara, her expression unwavering. Respect, yes, she replied coolly. Yet, traditions should never bind our potential. After a silence that felt like an eternity, a voice rose from the crowd, respected elder and former advisor. If love can unite what has long been divided, then perhaps, just perhaps, it is our traditions that must adapt, not these two souls. Cheers erupted as murmurs of agreement spread like wildfire. One by one, others stepped forward, forging a chorus of voices that proclaimed a future shaped by hope and trust. With the tide shifting, Lucas and Elara stood tall, rising above the challenges posed by tradition, relying on the strength of their bond. They grasped each other's hands, a physical manifestation of their commitment. Together, we will face whatever challenges arise, Lucas whispered, looking into her eyes filled with determination. After the conference, Lucas and Elara left behind the palace walls that had once felt constraining. They walked through the gardens of the royal city, fingers intertwined, glowing with both the thrill of victory and the uncertainty of the future. New beginnings, she said softly, looking up at the sky painted in hues of dawn. Our worlds are forever changed, a legacy enhanced by love. Lucas smiled, heart full of gratitude and love. And maybe this can inspire others beyond our lives. Perhaps our mating will serve as a path for the hearts of countless others. With newfound hope, they embraced, spinning visions of the future, a tapestry of unity that stretched beyond the stars, a promise of acceptance that resonated across the galaxy.